Good morning. This is Cecil in Blues. Thank you for joining me today. I'd like to start putting out videos on this channel again in 2016. So it seems like a good idea to start off by taking a moment to look back at 2015 for a bit and then talk about what you can expect in 2016, what I can expect in 2016. I'll start off talking about what I've been playing recently. This has mainly been XCOM. With XCOM 2 releasing in early February, I've been spending time getting some achievements knocked out in Enemy Within. I've been playing a bunch of easy mode in order to get many of them out of the way, and I've picked up some really bad habits. Things I'm sure I'm going to pay dearly for when I start playing XCOM 2. Anyway, that's why you've got some sloppy XCOM play running in the background while I give this channel update. I'm going to briefly cover my top 10 games of 2015, then I'm going to move on to talking about Final Fantasy XIV Patch 3.15 and why I didn't cover it, which will dovetail nicely into the reasons why I haven't really had any content at all for the last month or so, and we'll wrap up with what you can expect in 2016 on this channel. Alright, top 10 games. I'm going to do these as rapid fire as I can, and I'm not sure if I'm going to take time to edit in any gameplay. It kind of depends on how long I end up talking about these, but if they're so short that I'm only going to be able to show 10 seconds of footage, then really what's the point, right? Okay, Disgaea 5. This was a lighthearted, fun strategy game, goofy and charming. I enjoy all the absurdity in both the narrative and the game systems. It got me to buy a PS4, so I have to include it on this list. Skyshine's Bedlam at number 9. The style for this FTL-ish strategy game is solid. The way combat works is an acquired taste. One I'll admit I don't fully enjoy, but the development team has continued to add improvements, and at the end of December they actually added a new combat option that changes the rules in a way that should be more appealing to a wider variety of players. This one is niche, but I still think it deserves some attention. Check it out if you dig strategy games and that FTL kind of game loop where you're starting with nothing and progressing through a map through exploration. Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward comes in at number 8. This started at number 3 on my list originally, but after the December release of patch 3.15, I couldn't justify that any longer. Heavensward's main story was really good, and I'd recommend it to anyone who digs Final Fantasy games, but so far the additional content has been thin. Maybe I'll feel differently about this next time, hold on, I lost my train of thought. Maybe I'll feel differently about this at this time next year. There we go. Found my brain. It still deserves a place on my list. It's the only MMO I'm currently playing. I probably played this specific game more than anything else this year, so, I mean, I gotta include it on the list, but I couldn't put it high up. Let's move on to number 7, Pillars of Eternity. This deserves a mention here for being the best traditional RPG of the year, but I haven't yet poured myself into it. I'm waiting for all the expansions to be finished so that I can experience the full product, much in the same way I treated Dragon Age Inquisition. I know it's good, but I'm storing it up like a fine wine for a special occasion. At number 6, I listed Crypt of the Necrodancer. This had its official release this year, and it deserves praise for its unique twist on roguelike dungeon crawlers, but also for its fantastic art and sound combined with an amazing soundtrack. At number 5, Renowned Explorers International Society. This does not get enough recognition for being an amazing FTL-ish strategy game. I'm basically deciding that's a genre at this point, an FTL-like, in the same way as roguelikes are. There was several games this year that came out that had that same kind of, you start on one area and you travel through sectors or whatever to eventually have an end boss fight or whatever the final end goal is. And International Society, Renowned Explorers International Society, is the best of them. It's got what looks to be a simple combat system at first glance, but it has several deeper systems. The combat is incredibly deep in itself. It looks at things in a kind of sideways way from what you might expect from other games, and that will result in kind of a I don't know, a learning process, and that was part of the fun for me. You combine that with an art style that's slick and clean, but also beautiful and hilarious. Tie it all together with clever writing and a brilliant sense of humor. It was one of the best games of the year, and if you haven't picked it up, you're missing out. Abbey Games have promised to continue to support Renowned Explorers throughout 2016, and that's going to include at least one expansion. That one, as far as description got away from me a little bit, I was trying to keep these short, but it's just Renowned Explorers is great, and I feel like it doesn't get the attention it deserves, and I suspect many people overlooked it, so check it out. Let's move on to number 4, a game no one would say was overlooked, Undertale. I'm not going to say much about Undertale, except that it is a game that continued to surprise me and subvert my expectations, even after I knew it was a game that was out to surprise me and subvert my expectations. If you haven't tried it, check it out. Again, it's a fantastic RPG, and it will surprise you. At number 3, Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. Binding of Isaac is a superb game, and if the guys at Nicholas want to release an expansion every year, I'll keep putting it near the top of my list every single time. I've played more than 140 hours of Rebirth so far, and I've got about 60% completion. I may not be good at it, but it is one of the most fun games I play. At number 2, I put Witcher 3. Look, it's the best AAA RPG on the market, full stop. What needs to be said? My computer can barely run it, but it's still beautiful and a joy to play. I've played 90 hours and I'm working my way through the side quests before I push into the final chapter. And I plan to do a second full playthrough once all the expansions are out. It's a great game, and I'm glad I've played it this year, and I look forward to playing more of it. And at number 1, I am putting Invisible Ink. It gets top marks from me this year. It is a masterclass in strategy gaming, and it deserves every award it's earned and then some. I met the guys from Clay at PAX East a few years ago. I shook their hands and thanked them for Don't Starve. If I have the opportunity to meet them again, I'd give them all big hugs for Invisible Ink. It's not just my favorite game this year, it's easily among my top 5 games of all time. And that's my top 10 games. And you know what? If your top 10 games are different, I don't care. Like, it's bravo. 2015 was a great goddamn year in games. And there are dozens upon dozens of games that deserve to be top 10 games. This is just my list. And if you hadn't heard of some of them, check them out. They may interest you. It was easy to lose track of things that were great. Let's move on to talk about Final Fantasy XIV Patch 3.15 and why I didn't cover it. So, in some respects, I had some audio equipment fail on me, and it started with my headset, and then my mixer blew out, and I have things working barely. But in my current configuration, I only get left channel sound in my headset, which is fine when I'm doing voice comms, but that's about it. It makes it hard to record game audio while also commentating it. It interferes with my recording process. I do have a solution now, and I think it's going to work, but that's not the whole story. On why I didn't cover patch 3.15. Frankly, at best, it's a weak excuse, and at worst, an entire misdirect, since I script and post-record all my Final Fantasy XIV audio content, and I don't do any live gameplay commentary. No, why I didn't cover patch 3.15 is because I was furious, and I don't like to do negative coverage on this channel. I'd like things to stay positive, but I'm still human, and I also refuse to push out positive spin content that I don't believe in. The relic grind is gross, and it's not the amount of time it takes to complete it. It's more about what you're asked to do over that period of time. For a couple of weeks, I ran my level 50 Beastman dailies, and I ran all my duty roulettes for currency, but it burned me out. And I didn't want to do the things in Final Fantasy XIV that I actually enjoy doing. I didn't play with my friends, and now when I look at the icon on my desktop, all I see is a 4 hour of admittedly self-imposed mandatory daily grind, and it saps all my desire to play. We got an apology from Yoshi P in his holiday address, but it rang hollow to me. I've played a few MMOs over the last 13 years, and there were other ways to address this problem. Anyway, so I'm taking a bit of a break, but I do plan on continuing to play Final Fantasy XIV. As for videos, let's talk about what to expect from this channel in 2016. January and February are pretty clear to me. I have a couple of edited XCOM videos I will be releasing over the next week or so. And in February, you can expect extensive coverage of XCOM 2. In between that, I may stream my attempts to clear a classic campaign, something I've never pushed myself to accomplish despite having over 130 hours clocked in XCOM. Darkest Dungeon also will be having its full release in 2 weeks, and I haven't looked at Darkest Dungeon since it was in its very early access in February of 2015, so just about a year ago was the last time I looked at Darkest Dungeon, and I'm likely to put out a Let's Play series as I stumble my way through what to me is going to seem like an entirely new game. I've been struggling to fight the urge to play it, like, really quite a bit recently. Like, they've all the new stuff sounds really exciting. I didn't dive back in when the controversy about the corpses showed up. I know they've had a couple of new classes added, new areas, and they also did some quality of life improvements in December. And I know the community is really functional, but I didn't want to look at this game until it was a full game. I'm very excited about it, and I didn't want to have my experience with it be with the half version of the game that was available. I want the whole thing. I want the entire experience. I want to judge it based on what it fully is in their mind. So that's something that you can probably expect. Let's see. Another thing that I'm going to be producing, my friend J Prime, he did a thing in December he calls the 12 Games of Christmas, where he picks 12 games from his backlog that he hasn't played yet, and he does them completely from start to finish, and does that all in December. I played many of the same games as him, or some of them were things I had already played in the past, and so what we're going to do is we're going to get together this weekend, and we're going to have just kind of a round table to discuss the games, what we thought of them, and you know, just how much fun we had with it. So expect that early next week, assuming that we can get our schedules to line up. I'd appreciate if you watch that and give us any comments. Tell us how you like the dynamic between us, and if it's something that you'd like to see more of on my channel, or maybe we can encourage him to start his own channel. We'll see. Let's see. When it comes to ongoing content, WildStar is far and away an unlikely source. I did dive into the Christmas event this year, and it was a bit of fun. I thought it was neat. I have to hand it to them. The economy for the rewards seemed much more lenient than the Halloween grind that kind of turned me off back at the end of October. They appear really at WildStar or at Carbine to be on a good trajectory. I just hope they can keep up the momentum and introduce some fresh content instead of just keep piling out more cosmetic flair to try and, I don't know, and this feels rude, but they're milking their most fervent supporters, and those people, while cosmetic items are fun and all, they're going to feel pretty angry if in a couple of months Carbine announces that in addition to there being no new content coming, that the game is shutting down. That's gonna kind of be a kick in the pants, and it's why I don't subscribe to the game or support it. But then I realize I'm part of the problem. So they gotta give to get, I think, and I hope they do. And if they do, if something exciting comes along WildStar way, I will definitely be covering that and letting you guys know about it. But in the meanwhile, I'll mostly be playing Final Fantasy as an MMO, and I don't know what content I'll be producing for it. I have trouble determining what content has value, and doesn't just parrot other existing content creators, only with a Midwestern accent. So, hey, we'll see. That's all I can say about it. I would like to produce more content, but I only want to produce content that I feel distinguishes itself. So that's maybe a little bit of why I've done less. The big question mark in 2016 will be how much time I have to produce content that I can be proud of. If you follow my Twitter, you may occasionally see me tweeting pictures from behind the scenes at various events, and that's because I work with a production crew here in Las Vegas, and the pay for that work is actually very good, but the work itself is inconsistent. I'll sometimes go a month with one job, or sometimes I'll go 2 months and not even have a job. January is pretty good for us. December is pretty good, but if last year is of any indication, I probably won't have another good month until June, and so I can't afford to sit idly by and hope those checks come in at the moment. I'm going to have to look for a more traditional job, and that's because this channel doesn't generate revenue, and because it doesn't generate revenue, I can't really justify giving it 40 hours of my time every week. It seems kind of foolish. And the fact that it doesn't generate revenue, I can only be the one who's blamed for that. It's on me. And it's less about what my content is and more about how aggressively I produce it or market it. What I mean by that is I don't pop out a video every day or 2 videos a day, and when I do, I don't stick consistently with that. And then marketing, I don't hang out on forums, I don't become part of communities, and that's on me for, kind of social stigmas and anxieties and stuff that are just in my head. And a lot of content creators are like that. Their social awkwardness is kind of what drives them to communicate through this medium. And some of them are better at marketing themselves than others, still, from behind their computer desk. And I'm not one of those people. It's hard for me to kind of become part of a community. I've poked around on Reddit, but I don't feel comfortable in those places, and I don't want to just signboard my products. I would want to feel like I belong, and there's a little bit more to it. On top of that, but yeah, I'm probably gonna have to get a more traditional job, at minimum some sort of part-time job, and that's gonna exhaust me, and it will make it hard to keep a daily schedule on Let's Plays, to be on top of news as it happens, etc. So I can't say for certain what to expect as far as a schedule, but in short, it's not the end, but it ain't the beginning either. So if you want to support this channel, please, in particular, check out my XCOM videos that are coming over the next couple of weeks. They're a big deal, so share them with your friends, give them a like, tell 2K and Veraxis how cool I am. Those are things that are gonna make hopefully some XCOM 2 Let's Plays get some buzz. I would like to see those getting at least enough viewership that they hit a triple digit. That would be nice. Yeah, my Let's Plays tend to stick around the 30 viewer mark, and that's not particularly valuable. But since I enjoy playing it, and I'm going to be playing it anyway, I don't see any reason not to record it. The only difference would be that if I'm not recording it, I don't have to have a microphone in my face, I don't have to narrate everything I'm doing, so there are advantages there, but certainly I can, you know, my first 10 hours of play I can see easily narrating without any complaints. So I'm hoping that we get something moving there. Also, the 12 Games of Christmas video should be out next week with J Prime, and I would love your support on that and any feedback you have on it. Maybe we can do more collaborative stuff. As always, thank you for watching this video. Your support is appreciated, and you know, every person is somebody, and the fact that you're watching it really does make me happy. I'd be happier if I got a paycheck, but that's not on you. That's on me to get more of you to be there. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.
Enemy fire on my position.